and welcome to the Royal Horticultural Society's Chelsea Flower Show 2026, an event supported by Range Rover.
Here at the showground, the heat has finally arrived. It's sweltering. And with Chelsea marking the start of the summer season, today we're going to help you get your garden ready for the warmer weather ahead. Coming up, Carol Klein discovers the most fragrant night-scented plants to help you enjoy those long summer evenings.
We reveal the winner of the RHS Chelsea Plant of the Year, the exciting new variety that impressed the judges more than any other. You'll certainly want to get that in your garden.
And I will be meeting the fashion designer Dame Sandra Rhodes, who's taken us on a tour of her London garden up in the sky.
But first, there's nowhere better to celebrate the great British summertime than by the seaside, which has inspired this, the Eden Project Bring Me Sunshine Garden, designed by Harry Holden and Alex McKellis.
This building, actually, I hesitate to call it a building. It feels like a structure, doesn't it?
It is. The large
it's a sort
kind of muscle here.
It's a spidery structure. Feels like an open space. Presumably, it is a teaching space.
It is.
It's to gather in the centre around under it.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's going to be a community garden space outside the Eden Project. And so this structure is definitely to bring young people together.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of teaching of horticulture because in that area they need to upskill their own community. So I think that idea of bringing everybody together is going to be really great.
Now, of course, well, by the seaside, you can't help but notice shells. There's shells on the paths, shells by the side of the water, and I believe shells in the paths and the walls.
Well, there is. This is a developed new product, if you like, clamcrete, shellcrete, but it has used local shells bound with limestone and another binder, and they've used it in the paving areas and on the walls, which actually has got a lot of innovation around it and has got a low carbon footprint. And
then, of course, the planting. And that's what people come to see. I often feel that there's a huge amount of effort going into the sort of the new material and what have you. A lot of people don't notice that. They're coming in and they're looking at the planting, and you have a meadow in the front and you have the planting around this space. It's quite a big space. And actually, this is the first time I've been on this garden. And it looks much better from the inside looking out. And when I say better, there's just more to see.
Yeah.
Now, that's probably a design flaw in terms of the show, but not at all in terms of its relocation, which I believe is going as part of that project in Morecambe.
Yeah, this is all going, so I think that there'll be a rearrangement. Obviously, they come via Chelsea.
Yeah.
But I think, again, as you say, with the planting, there's inspiration for those people living by the coast and Tora and Crombay, tough plants that need to really deal with the salt.
It's summer season now, we all say, but it ain't summer season in Morecambe in sort of January and February. These plants have to be good.
They have to be on point. But I have to say, the reflection from that water is looking very good on your face. I'm getting a little dappled light.
You look lovely too, darling. Well, from the seaside, now to some bright and bold summer colours. All week, Jamie has been looking at the planting trends to emerge from the show this year. And tonight, he's discovering that the theme of many designers seems to be the brighter the better.
Sometimes, when it comes to using colour in a garden, too much just is never enough. And this garden is the perfect example of it. From this orange backdrop coming down to these green upcycled filing cabinets, and then this most sumptuous, colourful, joyful planting. From these geums and nasturtiums and geraniums, digitalis, achilles. More is more sometimes. This planting is full, it's sumptuous, it's uncompromising. From these pink armerias to these red nasturtiums coming up to yellow achilles, cosmos, hesperus. It sort of throws away the rule book in the best way possible. We couldn't talk about colourful planting without coming to the most colourful corner of the whole showground. This is Arit Anderson's Parkinson's garden, and I think it's probably my favourite planting at the whole of Chelsea. And the way Arit's done it is so clever. She's used large blocks of colour. Rather than just using one or two individual plants. Take these roses in the middle, for example. She's used a clump of maybe 12 or so roses to create this dramatic effect. The same with the Arit here, which are adding this flamboyant, beautiful two-tone flower into this border. Even down to this euphorbia. It's the most colourful, energising planting at its very best. The other trick Arit's used in this garden to make it feel so uplifting is the use of repetition. So she's used plants like the dianthus, like the alliums, like the poppies, bounced all the way through the planting. That gives us unity and harmony and essentially glues this huge border together. It's a really clever trick, and sometimes designers often use grasses to do that, or foliage plants to hold the border together. But Arit's been bold and uncompromising and is using colourful plants to hold the bigger blocks of plants together. This border epitomises Chelsea this year for me, and my main take-home from this year's show is that we all need much more colour in our lives and also in our gardens.
As the evenings get longer and warmer, we get the chance to spend even more time in our gardens. And as Carol's been discovering, there are plenty of varieties of plants to enjoy, even as the sun begins to go down.
As the sun sets and the moon ascends into the nighttime sky, our gardens take on a whole new persona. And our senses too change. Our vision takes in pale colours, especially white, glowing in the moonlight. And then our sense of smell, it becomes much more acute. And of all night-scented climbers, this has to be the ultimate, the zenith. This is Jasminum polyanthum. Just close your eyes and one sniff of this, and you're in a street in Tangier on a lovely dark evening. This is a tender plant, but there's also a jasmine which is completely hardy, Jasminum officinale. Lots of us grow it in our gardens. It'll climb and clamber up fences and walls, and it's full of these beautiful white flowers. Perhaps not quite as showy as this, but wait till all of these flowers on this come out. I'd sit here and wait for the moon to come up. On my way to show you the most beautiful white garden, I came across this. It's such a fine example of one of the very best night-scented shrubs. It's Pittosporum tibera, and both its leaves and its flowers smell divine. Well, tucked away in a corner is this delightful little white garden. I particularly love this one. This is our native foxglove, Digitalis purpurea alba. It'd have an almost ghostly presence in the dark. And in the background, you could have a tall white shrub. How about this one? This is a lovely lilac. And even though it's scented during the day, that scent would carry over into the evening. And this is my favourite. It's Hesperis matronalis, otherwise known as sweet rocket, because its flowers are wonderfully perfumed. But it doesn't start pumping out that perfume until dusk descends. Almost without exception, these night-scented plants have one common feature, and that is that long corolla tube. And why? Because they're pollinated by moths. They're just the sort of plants that after a hard day's work, you can come out, relax, enjoy the evening, and dream the night away.
And one of the gardens highlighting the importance of planting creatures of the night is this one, the Bat Conservation Trust, nocturnal garden designed by Melanie Hick. And of course, the dominant feature here, other than this lovely bench, which I have to say I'm sitting on is very comfy, is this sculpture. An enormous, great wooden bat sculpture, and you can get in under what I imagine are the folded wings of the bat. But the planting is, of course, designed to attract food for bats rather than a habitat for the bats themselves. Of course you need water, and that attracts insects low down. You have a hawthorn with flowers and berries, elderflower. You have grasses which furnish pollen, because different bats have different feeding habits. And therefore, above all else, you need diverse planting, lots of flowers to attract insects, caterpillars, moths, and the bats will choose their prey that will sustain them best. Now, Melanie, the first question has to be, are you planting here for all British bats?
That's correct, we are.
So what does that involve?
So there's 18 species of UK bats,
right,
and many of them are in more dire straits than others. But what we're showing here is that you can plant diverse planting to support all UK bat species.
Right, so everything is catered for here. Are there any particular sort of oddities that certain species need or like to have?
They certainly do have their peculiarities.
Such as?
Well, I think that the main thing is to consider providing a buffet that caters to most of them.
Right.
You could have a very specialist ecological garden, but this is really an easy to grow garden, ideal for the Chelsea visitor to take home.
In a word or two, what are the key things for the average gardener to do to encourage bats into the garden?
The key thing to do is plant diversity, plant a range of flower shapes.
Yeah.
We have a very simple rose in Frances E. Leicester,
Yeah.
cosmos and foxgloves, so you can already imagine how those different shapes might fuel different species of moths.
Now, I know the back wall of the bat garden, that's hard to say, has something special about it. What is it?
So all of those timbers that you see there have been cut to the exact length to make the bat boxes that are also on display on the bat wall.
Right.
So I have 10 bat boxes ready to go. These will all go to Clidat Community Gardens for the community to make them into their own bat boxes.
Well, congratulations on the People's Choice.
Thank you.
As you say, you made a garden for people to love, and they do.
Thank
I
you.
bet bats love it too.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
All this week, Adam's been going back to basics, exploring the design ideas at Chelsea this year that can inspire you to upgrade your garden. Today, he's looking at how garden architecture can transform your space.
Structures in gardens can become fundamental parts of that space. They provide form, function, instant height, even framework for planting. But in reality, before you build anything, you need to work out exactly what you want from it. Do you want somewhere to play, work, cook, even sit and just be? But once you've worked that out, it's very much how do you want it to feel? Modern or traditional? And then it's all about where do you put it? Well, that's driven by you. Ultimately, how the sun moves through your space. What I love about this garden and what's so brave is the structure sits in the middle of the garden. It gives you somewhere to sit privately and enjoy. It still gives you connections to other parts of the garden. But this shape in the middle drives the design of the rest of the garden. If this just sat in the middle of the garden and wasn't wrapped with planting, it would feel plonked. Here, the shapes radiate out. But then from the outside looking in, it's soft, it's planty, and that is what makes it feel good. Next, if you want a bit of magic in your garden, it's got to be the finer detail that you look at. What's great about this is it sits down in the landscape. You imagine this at ground level. You can view it from the house. It would sit really high in the garden and maybe overpower. By putting it down, You feel good when you come down the steps, you feel comfortable. And now, look at the materials. The finer detail, that sort of leaded finish gets picked up in the copings, the detail in the reels, the containers. And then you look again and you realise that shape above my head is worked into the taxus. It's all that finer detail that makes this very special. One of the last things is when we add structures to the garden, we can look upon them as being static, and they really don't have to be. Look at this above my head. It's not uniform and it drives its way through the space. You know, so it's the ultimate climbing frame for plants, but also it frames views, it creates arches. But interestingly, the colour up there is then repeated on the ground below, so it has this ability to tie the whole garden together. So if you think about it, built structures in our garden can help them be so much more.
The pavilion is always great to come in and meet people with fascinating stories. But I'm about to meet two inspirational people who have got a really unusual business, the Cayley brothers. Always good to see you two. But I have to say, I always giggle when I say the Cayley brothers to anybody, because you are in fact sisters,
yeah.
which is great. But you know, just remind me, the Cayley brother name, why did you choose that name for your business?
The original Cayley brothers were our granddad, and his brother. Back in the 1950s, they had their own grocers, and they were really passionate about bringing fresh produce to the local villagers. And it seemed to make sense to take on the Cayley brothers and bring it into the 21st century.
Why did you choose to go for mushrooms as your business?
So mushrooms, there's something truly unique about mushrooms, and unfortunately within supermarkets you can't get anything beyond the button mushroom. So we've learned how to grow all of these amazing mushrooms that all have their own unique textures, flavours, characters, personalities. You have to love them, because mushrooms won't grow if you don't love them.
There's an incredible array of different varieties, and we've done a real focus on native UK species. The amazing coral tooth, so the cousin of the very popular lion's mane, an incredible texture and flavour, a crispness. So if you don't like the texture of maybe a button mushroom, then it's certainly one to try. Each mushroom has its own personality, and we love discovering, teaching ourselves how to grow it, and then getting other people to grow them themselves, and then they can see the wonder. They double in size every 24 hours, and no one species looks the same, and so you know you can never tire of growing these beautiful things, and then you get to eat them.
Yes. Really, you've done so well. I can see the gold medal glinting at me. So what is the secret of your success?
We found what we wanted to do, and we just work tirelessly in something that we love doing. So it's really a vocation.
We actually get on very well. We both have different strengths. We know each other's weaknesses, and she's my favourite person.
We've got our best friends as well as sisters. And I think we couldn't do it without each other.
Working as women in horticulture, have you found any challenges and benefits of being able to do that?
Starting up the business really lent itself to us having young families. So, you know, I work early mornings, that suits me. Lorraine works late at night, and we do it around the school day. So, you know, we're not working after school when we're doing most of the childcare. So it allows that flexibility, but with that we also find that we're then working 24 hours a day sometimes. So, you know, it has benefits and challenges.
It is, and I think we've been supported by a lot of women within horticulture as well, and that's really been refreshing. It's been nice to come into an industry having both worked in quite demanding and competitive industries. There's no kind of cards being held to the chest. It's people leading people along, opening doors for us, lifting us up and giving us the confidence to do what we do and be proud of what we do.
I think those are the two key words, being confident and being proud, and you both should be.
Thank you.
Our summers are set to become drier and warmer, there's no question about that. So when planting trees, we have to ensure that they'll be able to cope with these changing conditions. One nursery exhibiting here is at the forefront of demonstrating the versatile and resilient trees that we should be considering planting now for the future.
I've always been into horticulture. It's been my dream job from day one, but I really refined my interest for trees while I was studying at Kew, and linking that with my love of production of plants meant that I could only really work at a tree nursery. The trees are important for the landscape because of all the ecosystem services that they provide. Things like wind dissipation, flood mitigation, carbon sequestration, habitat creation, all of those sorts of things. But at the same time, they're important for the human element as well, because of things like social health and mental well-being. A lot of studies have been brought in that horticulture can be healing and it can be good for the mind. Tree selection is really important. My 3 guidelines would be select the right species in the right place and for the right reason. There's many aspects that you need to consider, such as ultimate size and space, but more importantly, how the tree is going to adapt to climate shifts. So there's a lot of research been done, and there's some studies that are suggesting London's going to have the climate of Barcelona by 2050, possibly Azerbaijan by 2100. And a lot of our British native trees are simply not going to be resilient to those climates in that era. So that's when we need to start looking at perhaps some exotics that are going to fill the space where the natives are leaving, but also provide the same ecosystem and biodiversity benefits. Non-natives are referred to as exotics, and I think there's somewhere between 3,600 and 4,000 varieties in cultivation compared to our native tree species range, which is somewhere between 30 and 35 species. So to have that diversity in the treescape will enable them to be resilient. I joined the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew in 2013, fresh out of school, and it was a steep learning curve. And today we're working together, looking at scientific research and how that can be put to best use in the commercial trade.
It traps that moisture on the fine hair, which cools the leaf down. My name's Kevin Martin. I'm head of the tree collections at Royal Botanic Gardens Kew, so I'm really trying to understand what the landscape's going to look like in 100 years' time. So with the research that I do, specialising in urban trees, it's critically important that we get the commercial nurseries on board, because I can do research and I can find some of the most fantastic trees that are going to be more resilient to our future climate. When we think about selecting trees, we have to really stop and think deeply now. We can't just select trees on horticultural merit, what the tree looks like, so its bark, the colour of its leaves. What we need to start thinking deeply about is the function. We're looking at cooling, we're looking at shade, we're looking at rain interception. They're the questions we need to ask ourselves now, not just what that tree looks like. Chelsea's going to be so important because when we think about trees and when we think about selecting trees, we need a cultural change. And that's the biggest thing. And where else are you going to be able to start that conversation about cultural change than at Chelsea?
So Kevin, these are the possible selected trees for our Chelsea stand here. Start with this Cercis canadensis forest pansy with a beautiful purple leaf. It's got some flowers on.
Great, they're a really standout tree. Very well suited, especially for those urban, dry environments. And that's what we need to try to explain. Just because they're resilient trees doesn't necessarily mean they're boring.
So next we have Taxodium disticum, which is famous for thriving in swampy, wet conditions.
If we're having an area that's prone for flooding, for instance, these are the trees we need to start looking at. And they're just really good ornamental trees, but they have a purpose now.
One of the last trees to talk about is Sorbus uliengensis Olympic flame, which has lots of benefits in terms of climate resilience and benefits towards other species.
It's got that spring flower, It's really important for our pollinators. And then we got that food source for the birds when the berries come out. And again, look at that for a stunning architectural tree, but yet it's still providing other services. And that's what makes trees like this so stunning to have in our gardens. The trees we plant today, they're going to see a different world in 100 years' time. The climate's going to be very different, the growing conditions are going to be very different, so that's really the scale that we're working in. And it's critically important we get that message out there now, because by planting trees, we can then help with climate mitigation. And trees are going to be one of the main backbones of this mitigation as we go forward for the next few decades.
So Kevin, it's been really hard overall selecting trees for Chelsea, which not only look special and, you know, pleasing for people to see, but also have some of these traits we've been talking about. So overall, I hope I've done a good job, but the proof will be in the pudding when it comes to judging, won't it?
It will do, yeah, it'll be all down to the judges.
Well, Elliot, here you are, first time inside the Great Pavilion. How was it actually getting on the site and making this stand?
So logistically, it was really hard. Obviously, we're moving large trees, and having everything planned out in an order that we were going to execute everything was extremely important. But I think, thankfully, we got through it and made a really good job of it.
And clearly you've done a really good job of it, because you got a silver gilt medal, which is wonderful. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that was an incredible achievement. But really, it's not me, it's the whole company. We've got such a brilliant team. And there's just been a wave of excitement that's gone through the company in the build-up and actually to the medal stage as well. It's been tremendous.
Now, I believe the King paid you a visit. What did that feel like?
That was an absolute highlight. So we gifted him quite a rare tree, and to be able to give that to him was just an absolute privilege.
Now, I was really interested to see the diversity of trees that you hold on the nursery. And the fact that we're all going to have to adapt to our, the surroundings changing with climate changing. So are there things that you feel are going to be seen much less in our gardens?
So the climate shifting, there's obvious evidence of this with climatic modelling. And I think we're just going to have to be careful that we don't continually choose trees and plants based on merely their aesthetics alone. We need to be thinking about whether they're going to be able to cope with the future climates, because when you plant a tree, you're not just planting for you, it's a legacy, that you'll be, planting a tree that will be in a situation for many generations, possibly.
Because I was very interested, in fact, that we've got a relatively small palette of native trees in the UK. So there are far, far more to choose from if we start looking at things that are non-native.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's 30 to 35 native species, depending on who you ask, and a lot of these are under pressure from pests, pressure from climate, pressure from many other factors. Climate extremes, actually, is a major one. And I think the research that we've been doing, a lot of the scientific institutions have been doing, are suggesting that actually a more diverse treescape is going to be one that's more resilient.
So do you think our gardens and our landscape is going to start looking very different?
I think for a period of time it will remain the same, but then you'll see certain species gradually declining, and we need to be very open-minded about what we replace those with for the future. We can't replace like for like, because there's an obvious reason why something might have failed. We don't want to make the same mistakes time and time again. So having that open mindset and basically planting something that is going to be fit for future climates is going to be incredibly important.
Well, it's actually quite an exciting time ahead. All of these wonderful trees to choose from. I look forward to that. Thank you very much, Elliot.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
Still to come tonight on the RHS Chelsea Flower Show of 2026, an event supported by Range Rover. We reveal which new variety has been named RHS Chelsea Plant of the Year.
And fashion designer Zandra Rose takes us on a tour of her cherished and eclectic balcony garden.
We've heard how climate change is influencing the trees we choose, but it's also providing opportunities to grow a wider variety of plants in our gardens. Earlier, I explored how Chelsea is displaying some of them. Climate change is inevitably affecting every corner of our lives, but arguably in our gardens, we're seeing that happen season by season. And Chelsea inevitably is reflecting that. And this garden is exemplifying that through its choice of plants, many of which we're familiar with, perhaps only when we go on holiday. And here they are, growing in a garden in the middle of London. Now that is extraordinary. What's changing is both our choice of plants that will not just survive but thrive, but also the way they're behaving. And lots of us are growing figs in our garden, and I have been the last 40 years. But it's the fruiting that has changed. Back in the 1980s, if you saw a fig in a London garden with ripe fruit on it, that was exceptional. Now in my own garden, we get hundreds of figs in August and sometimes July. And then the way that plants flower is changing. This is Melianthus major. It's beautiful. And I grew it in London, and it would last for about 3 years, and the frost would get it, and it would flower maybe once every 4 years. Now they're flowering regularly and reliably every year, and they can stay outside, and they won't be killed by cold. However, some plants are still pretty extraordinary. Now, this is extraordinary. The last time I saw one of these growing outside was in Kirstenbosch Botanic Gardens in Cape Town. It's a cycad. These are the plants that were growing when the dinosaurs roamed. They evolved to stop being eaten by dinosaurs. They're really prickly and awkward. And these can cope with cold as long as it's dry and as long as there's very good drainage. So if you are thinking of planting them and giving it a go, then just remember, good drainage is going to be a key, not just to them thriving, but also sometimes surviving. Now, if the cycads were strange and wonderful things to be growing in British gardens, I think this garden takes it even further. And all the plants here are Australian, and it includes plants that, to be honest, I am completely unfamiliar with and certainly have never seen growing in British gardens. Take this incredible plant. It's called the grass tree. As exotic as anything you might grow in a garden, I actually have seen them growing in the outback. They will take temperatures down to freezing and a little bit below because it gets cold in the outback. Entirely dependent, though, on really good drainage. It cannot sit in water at all. And then you have plants like the kangaroo paw, extraordinary looking thing. And that not only needs good drainage, it needs really poor soil. The way to kill that is with kindness. No nutrition, no goodness in the soil, and it should survive. Poor soil and really good drainage is a recurring theme in these Australian plants. Take the Banksia. These have evolved to cope with extreme conditions. And the tea tree, the hedge, is already growing and thriving in Cornwall. Now, okay, Cornwall is the warmest, mildest part of Britain, but that will spread. And you cannot but conclude that our gardens are going to have to change and adapt. And that means changing the plants that we grow, and also critically, how we grow them.
It's been another busy week here at Chelsea for the RHS, and joining me now to reflect on how it's gone is Director General Claire Mattison. Claire, what a week.
What a week.
What a week. I mean, it's such a big operation here. How's it been for you?
Honestly, it's probably been one of our best ever. Incredible gardens, wonderful great pavilion, plants galore, sun shining today. Sold out show before we even opened our doors, and people seem to be loving it.
That's so brilliant to know, and I guess with all of the gardens and all of the exhibits, they're all for such good causes as well.
Such good causes, and this of course is our biggest fundraiser of the year, so every penny that we raise here goes on to support work throughout the rest of the 51 weeks of the year, you know, and that's around education, getting children into gardening, community gardens, science work.
you know, apprentices and training into horticulture, work that we do with the hospitals up and down the country as well. So a big thank you to everyone who bought a ticket and has come.
Well, of course, and a big thank you to the returned gnomes.
You let
them back in, Claire.
The gnomes, yeah, my most difficult decision as Director General, lifting the ban on gnomes. And who wouldn't perhaps want a gnome painted by Joanna Lumley, Sir Brian May? But
Yeah.
I've got actually a little exciting announcement.
Oh, good,
Sir
good.
David Beckham has painted 2 gnomes.
Wow.
Hot off the press, personally painted by him for the cure and up for auction as well.
Number 7, his preferred number. So all up for auction, and of course that money directly.
Yeah,
where will
so
that
every
go?
penny from the auction goes to our campaign for school gardening, and that gets more and more children into gardening up and down the country.
The gardens and the legacy of the show lives on, doesn't it? Really, you're quite passionate about that.
Oh, it's so important that we don't just put all of this into landfill, throw it away. So every garden will live on, and we've got some lovely examples. The Little Trussell's garden, it's all about food banks, and that's going to a food bank in Northern Ireland. Eden Garden, the new big regeneration of Morecambe through the Eden Project, that's going to Morecambe.
Yeah.
Our own Curious Garden, that's going to a further education college in Farnborough, where actually it will be used as part of the teaching in the college. So every single garden, this is kind of first stop, and then they've got their forever home.
Via Chelsea. And talking of the Eden Project, I mean, they won the RHS Environmental Award, didn't they?
They did, and that's become more and more important. And what you see here is all the innovation, and then that innovation hopefully will spread throughout the year. And actually, I don't know if you've seen the asthma and lung garden up there. Fascinating. There's a big platform which looks just like concrete, but it's actually made of something biochar and clay. Apparently is 0 carbon and even is 0 negative carbon. And of course, concrete is the biggest emitter and problem of carbon for the industry. So, you know, innovations like that, let's hope this kind of spreads across the country.
Which I'm sure it will. I mean, you know, the gardens have great messages, but so does the pavilion. I mean, the growers in there, the work they do.
I think it shows how incredible this country is at horticulture. All of those specialist specialist nurseries, plant heritage, which also then looks after this kind of heritage of our cultivated landscape in this country. It is stunning in there this year. I spent a good hour or so walking around and also talking to these real specialists who you can ask them any question and they know the up-to-date detail as, will this grow in my garden, will this grow in my house? So it's a real treat.
They are an amazing, amazing crew of people. So the rest of the year, how does the calendar look for the RHS?
Well, you know, we never stop because we've got 2 brand new shows coming up as well. So we've got one at Sandringham, one at Badminton, both in July. Beautiful, beautiful locations, beautiful backdrops, you know, real, once again, celebrating heritage in this country. So lots more to go, plus, of course, all of this ripple effect from Chelsea to gardeners across the country and children across the country.
Well, I wish you well and best of luck with the new shows and just keep the energy up, Claire.
We will.
You've got to keep that energy going. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My guest tonight is a renowned British fashion designer known for her pioneering use of bold, artistic prints and vibrant colour. Away from the world of fashion, Dame Zandra Rhodes finds sanctuary in her rooftop garden high above the City of London, and we recently joined her at home.
A garden is a way of opening your spirit up to the earth. You know, you can go in there, even if it's pouring with rain. My camellias look wonderful, seeing their leaves with all the rain on them. I'm Zandra Rhodes, a fashion and textile designer, and I've been doing that for at least 55 years. I'm within walking distance of the Shard in fabulous Bermondsey. This is the northern part of my terrace, where I have hostas, arum lilies, and camellias. It's my camellia terrace. The hostas, which this year are doing very well, I've probably had these at least 10 years, and I divide them about every 2 years and give away plants. And the arum lilies, my mother got married with arum lilies, and they've always been something that I love drawing. I have 11 camellia trees here in various stages. The oldest one was given to me by Karl Lagerfeld 50 years ago and is still blooming. It's lovely white camellias this spring. They're just a wonderful tree, not too bad to keep as long as you try and make sure if you can give them rainwater. They just flower every spring and just brighten up the whole terrace. This statue is a Mexican shackmul, and it was from a party that was held at Aspinall's, some 50-odd years ago. I mean, it's only really made of polystyrene and I can pick it up with one hand, but I'd miss it if it wasn't there. This is Hydrangea Walk, which is right down the front of my penthouse, with the wall painted Frida Kahlo blue, which then shows, once the height of summer comes, fabulous white hydrangeas. Some are petiolaris, and they're gorgeous. And on this side, I have my mint in a separate container because it's a rhizome. I have sage, thyme, and another one that I've cleverly forgotten the name of. And then in the middle of my white hydrangeas are my 3 tomato plants, which will just grow and give me little tomatoes in the spring. This is a wonderful fiberglass shield that was actually part of the Magic Flute Opera that I did in San Diego. And when Sarastro, the king, comes on, they were actually giant lion shields that came forward, so they didn't look like men in baby grows. So he sits there and feels lovely. And this is Australian bottle brush, and the first of my peonies down here. We're on the south side of my penthouse, and this was originally a pot plant in 1972. Probably things grow in here because, touch wood, we don't really get frost here. Only once every 2 years would we get snow, but every pot gets wrapped in bubble wrap. So I have plastic rocks here on my terrace, and underneath them in the summer is all the bubble wrap that comes out in the winter to go around the pots. I talk to the plants. If one isn't doing well, I say, come on, pull your socks up. What's wrong with you? Are you happy there? Well, this is obviously the rose corner, and I'm training it to go even higher. This is a euphorbia that has grown outwards and not just through the ceiling. It belonged to my great friend Andrew Logan, and I had to have the road stopped and have it craned up together with 2 or 3 of the camellias when I first moved in. But it's very happy and it lives there all the year round. When I go to the Chelsea Flower Show, I make a headline to the ones that I already grow to see how much better they do, or if there's one that I could possibly just squeeze in, like a different kind of hosta. I'm very happy to be in my space in London, and I don't really need to go to a whole lot of places, but my rainbow penthouse is enough, but it is nice to look out at a wonderful terrace and appreciate all the plants doing their own thing.
Well, Zandra is here with me now. I have to say, it's lovely to see you. And I was thinking when we first met, which was in the early 1980s.
I was going to say, a long while ago.
It was, and you were a huge star. And I was practically a student. And you're still a huge star.
Oh, thank you.
And your garden, I love it.
Oh, it's a joy that I look at every morning when I'm at home.
Yeah, and those wonderful walls.
And the walls, which, well, of course, the Fashion Textile Museum, which I founded,
yes,
is in fact bright orange and pink, and it was a Mexican architect, Rigoretto, that designed it. So the walls are beautiful to look at.
And a backdrop for the plants, I guess.
And a backdrop to the plants, exactly.
I mean, we've missed your camellias and we're a bit early for the hydrangeas.
Paul, yes, the blue wall, when the they're all white hydrangeas,
Yeah.
and when they come out, it's just a splendid blue and white dream.
Have you always got, did you as a child, did you have a garden at home?
Oh yes, we had a garden. It wasn't really that well kept, but my father grew irises. We were paid to get rid of the snails.
Right.
You know, he'd give us a penny a snail or something. And he grew dahlias as well. He always had little things on to catch the earwigs.
I mean, do you think that's influenced your design? Because obviously we all know you for the sort of incredible use of colour and vivacity. Where does that come from, do you think?
I suppose a lot of it is looking at nature. I mean, I've loved drawing flowers, so it's always wonderful when flowers appear and you think, I better draw that while it's there.
And do you like the hands-on stuff? Do you like actual gardening?
Oh, I enjoy gardening, yes. I'm OK at potting up. At the moment, my poor camellias aren't doing as well as they should, so we're going to take them out and cut their roots down a bit and repot them in fresh soil.
That's a good idea. So, is Chelsea something you've come to regularly? I mean, is this the first time? Tell me about it.
No. Not. I don't come enough, but I try and come here each year when it's on, and then check out the ones that grow on my terrace first, and see if I can get, how do they get such splendid hostas with no holes for the slugs and things like that.
Fantastic hosta display. You'll see hostas everywhere. So you come in and you're basically checking up on your own garden.
I check up on what I've got and what would do well on my terrace. Yes.
Yeah. What problems have you got at the moment?
My hostas at the moment are looking OK. I watered them with some, I put eggshells at the bottom of them, and I water them with garlic water and check them all out. So,
OK, but you're going to
I've been looking here at maybe think of some wildflowers that would look good just in a pot. Because, you could make them all these lovely weeds just look fabulous.
I think so. Absolutely. And what are you noticing in the gardens when you look around? What sort of creatively?
Creatively, I love the fact that everything is all hodgepodge together. I mean, really, it's a work of art what they've done, but see the foxgloves and the ferns, and then you're looking and thinking, and an iris here and there. They're just gorgeous. So I'm going to look for, mad grasses that would look all right in a pot.
I absolutely think you could find that. We must get you mad grasses in a pot. I'm all for that. It sounds like a good idea. And I suppose over the years, you've seen gardens change. You've seen, obviously you've seen fashions change. How much influence do you think fashion and gardens have? How much interaction do you think they have?
There's nothing more inspirational than seeing these wonderful gardens with irises popping up here and there. So you could do quite mad frocks with all mad greenery that could look quite extraordinary.
Well, you are not unknown to be extraordinary. Obviously not mad, heaven forfends under. But you've always been exuberant. You've always liked the exuberance of a garden bursting out.
Well, it's nothing that you feel better when something's exuberant and you see the roses coming out and you think, I could grow some jasmine amongst that and try and get it. I mean, the inspiration in this particular year at this garden is the fact that everything's makes you appreciate what a wild garden looks like. Like, it would look lovely with foxgloves and cow parsley, and they're all a shady garden. So they could fill in between my pots.
I think that's the way to go. I think this is a whole new development for your garden.
I think so too.
Well, listen, it's lovely to see you again, and it's lovely to talk to you here at Chelsea, so thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me, and even getting into the garden itself is fantastic.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time, Bill.
One of the most prestigious awards for growers is the title of RHS Chelsea Plant of the Year. Out of the hundreds of new plants launched every year, only a small selection are shortlisted. Now it's time to find out the top 3 as well as the winner.
Winning Plant of the Year is such a huge accolade that breeders come from all over the world with their best specimens to compete. And judges are looking for plants that have novelty, performance, and appeal to gardeners. I can't wait to see them. And coming in at number 3 is this. This is Hydrangea Velvet Night Red Lace, and you can see why it's called that. Now, this really is unusual for a hydrangea, and its bold colour scheme is very much on trend. It will go in modern gardens, which is perhaps why it's been so successful in its introduction and very popular. Now, it acts like most hydrangeas, so it needs plenty of moisture. That means watering it in dry periods and giving it a good mulch of organic matter just to retain moisture in the soil. But this one can cope with a little bit of shade, only partial, because the light will activate this lovely purple colour, but midday sun will scorch the plant. So at the edge of the shade cast by a tree, somewhere like that would be perfect for this. But it would really make a very bold statement in any garden, I think. At number 2, we have another hydrangea. This is Paniculata Groundbreaker Ruby, and it is a really versatile plant from a modern garden to your quintessential quirky cottage garden. Now, the unique thing about this is it's the first Paniculata hydrangea that's truly a ground cover. It doesn't get any taller than 40 centimetres and about 70 centimetres in width. The other lovely thing about this plant is that now, as the flowers have opened, they're this very muted white, almost green colour. But as the summer continues and then the autumn goes on, they'll turn to pink and then ruby, and this will stay ruby right through the winter. So you have colour right through the year. You can see why this is such a popular plant. And the winner is Hosta Red Niña. Chris Potts, you have brought this award-winning plant to the Chelsea Flower Show. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, it's really special, isn't it? Who would have ever thought we'd be stood here looking at a red hosta? Also a hosta that prefers a bit of sunshine. We're really proud of being part of this.
And how did this come about?
So, a breeder in Denmark, and it came out with this colour and then stabilised at this colour.
And it has such a lovely coloration. It's very deep red stems with red veining on the leaves, but also this kind of painterly variegation as well.
I think it's a really breathtaking plant. And so, if you put this plant into shade, it's going to have that more mottled look, and it's like a beetrooty green. But if you put this into full sunshine, it's really going to colour up and be really, really red.
There's appeal in spades, but tell me about the performance of it.
We always say to people, put hostas in pots rather than the ground. And also with this one specifically, you can then move this to wherever you need it to be light level-wise. So if it needs a bit more sunshine, you can move it readily.
It's so well deserved. Enormous congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, here are all 3 finalists. Seeing them together, so just to recap, we've got Hosta Red Niña there, and then we have here Hydrangea Groundbreaker Ruby.
Okay.
And then number 3, we have Hydrangea, and I must get this right, Velvet Night Red Lace. And just to recap, I mean, obviously the Hosta has got its red stems. And like a chard or a beetroot. This hydrangea is almost a ground cover but turns red as it fades to red.
You see
and this is as it is. And you can see what I feel about. Well, I mean, how do you feel about this?
I mean, I have to be honest, because I don't really grow a lot of hostas because of where I've got loads of slugs. But I do think that people will quite like the colour. You know, when people are trying to look for colour in a little bit of shady area, you will have that red stem. I
can't say I love it, but who knows? I quite like this hydrangea, and I like hydrangeas anyway, and I think for small spaces and for ground cover, I think that could be really interesting.
Well, again, this is the thing about plants, is it? It's a matter of taste. I think it's a case this could be useful in that sort of lower mid layer, definitely. I mean, this one is a bit dark for me, I've got to be honest.
The winner is Hosta Red Niña.
Well, there you go.
That is the RHS Plant of the Year.
Well, well done. Well done to them.
And well done to them. Right, let's answer some questions.
Okay.
Okay, shall I offer one to you?
Yep, give me.
What annuals are best this summer for maximum colour? I'm planting in pots, and this is from Chris on Instagram.
Okay, for colour, so you can look at zinnias, cosmos. Really nice to get some nasturtiums.
We're talking about annuals here, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So annuals, yeah, they're going to be fast growing.
I think what you're going Tithonias, what you could do. It's what you're going for is tender annuals, and you won't go far wrong.
Great.
Right.
Okay. So, question for you.
Yeah.
I have a lemon plant.
Okay.
It had lots of lemons and new shoots on it, but now everything has died out. How can I revive it?
Well, if everything's died back now, the chances are it's been frosted. It's been outside and got cold, is what you would expect that to happen. And that certainly happened to me. But if you cut back to live growth, cut off, nothing dead is ever going to regrow, it will reshoot.
Okay.
But the key to lemons, and this is a mistake everybody makes, is they keep them indoors too warm, too dry. They like to be cool in winter and just humid, you know, and dry at the base, and then in summer just water them once a week, no more.
I have to say,
Yeah.
I was feeling pretty guilty when you said that, because the first lemon I had, he lived with me inside. Okay,
Right.
so another question for you.
Okay.
Many of the gardens at Chelsea have water features, big and small. How do designers stop the water from going green? And that's a view on WhatsApp.
Well, I think in a week at Chelsea, the chances are they won't, because it's to do too much oxygen in the water, too much fertility. So if you have plants around, whether it be compost on it, it drains, the rain washes it in, and that's what really feeds the algae. So if you can have stones all around and keep the fertility low, then the chances are that will go. Well, thank you so much to all of you for sending in your questions this week. Right, Arit, we're coming near the end, but I need to ask you, what was the best moment of the week for you? What was your highlight?
Oh, well, it was really brilliant to get the People's Choice. I mean, being at Chelsea with the show garden has been amazing, but the People's Choice just gave such a voice to the garden. It just meant that everybody had been watching, and I really appreciate all of the votes that we had.
Well, it was fantastic, and it was a wonderful garden.
Thank you. And your good self?
I think it was the Barbara Hepworth sculpture, to be able to go and touch it and be close to it. I'm a huge fan of Barbara Hepworth, so that was an absolute joy.
I'm sure. That's it for tonight and this week, and we've had such a brilliant time.
Well, thank you all for watching. Rachel and I are on BBC Two at 8 o'clock tomorrow, and we will be joined by a special guest, comedian and actor Ben Miller, as well as looking back at some of the highlights of another packed week here at Chelsea.
And Sophie and Adam will have some of their best moments from the show on Sunday at 6:15 on BBC One. So, good night.